she fell in love with him, unaware of the darkness he carried. A chance encounter in a coffee shop led to passion, danger, and a love that could destroy her. When she discovered he was part of a world she couldn't survive, she faked her death to escape. Years later, fate brings them together again in a new city. But this time, he's changed. Will they finally get there happily ever after? Watch the full story unfold. Like, share, and subscribe to witness the shocking twists and a love that defied death. Rain had always been Raina's comfort. It was the only sound that felt honest. The only thing that didn't pretend to be something it wasn't. That afternoon, the sky over the city hung low and heavy, the kind of gray that warned people to stay inside. But Raina didn't mind. She walked with her hood up, her curls tucked away, the soft patter on her coat almost soothing. She had just finished her shift at the bookstore. Long hours, low pay, but peaceful, and all she wanted was a hot drink before heading home. The small coffee shop at the corner of the street was her usual stop. A tiny place, barely bigger than a studio apartment, smelling of cinnamon and roasted beans. She pushed open the door, shaking droplets off her coat, and stepped into the warm light. Inside, a few regulars sat silently, staring at their screens. The barista waved at her with a smile. Raina smiled back. Everything was normal, comfortable, predictable, until the door behind her opened again, with a sudden, sharp gust of wind that swept the room. He walked in like the cold, wasn't even touching him. Tall, dark coat, gloves, clean-cut jaw, a presence that didn't belong in a tiny coffee shop, but in a movie scene where someone was about to get interrogated. The kind of man who drew eyes without trying. People looked, then quickly looked away. Raina didn't. Not at first. She caught a glimpse of him in the reflection of the pastry case. Piercing eyes, a scar near his brow, and a heavy stillness in the way he stood. Her chest tightened for a reason she couldn't place. Not fear. Something else. He stepped beside her, in line. She could feel the air shift with him there. A strange quietness followed him, as if the world itself paused to make room. Raina tried to ignore it. She pulled out her wallet, pretending to be deeply interested in counting her change. But the man glanced down at her, not rudely, not with arrogance, but with awareness. Like he noticed everything, like he studied things, people. "You can go ahead," she murmured, gesturing for him to order first. "No," he said, voice deep and smooth, with a faint accent she couldn't identify. "You were here before me." Something about the way he said it made the air thicken. His tone wasn't polite. It was respectful, unusual for someone who looked like he could snap a person's neck without lifting his heart rate. Raina swallowed and ordered her drink. When she moved aside to wait, he ordered next espresso, double shot, the kind of drink someone chooses when they don't have time to waste. When their drinks came, the barista messed up, handing Raina the espresso and the man her latte by accident. They both paused, looked at the wrong cup in their hands, then looked at each other. The tiniest smile tugged at his mouth. "Just barely, but enough. Seems we got switched," he said. Raina laughed softly, embarrassed as she corrected the cups. "Yes, I can't pull off an espresso person vibe." "You could," he replied, easily. It was such a simple sentence, but it carried weight. Intention. He didn't look at her the way most men did. He looked like someone evaluating a rare gem he hadn't expected to find. She felt her cheeks warm. He held out a gloved hand. "Roman." She hesitated only a second before shaking it. "Raina." His grip was firm, but he released quickly, politely. Still, she felt the ghost of his warmth, even through the glove. For a moment, it seemed like that was it. Two strangers, exchanging a polite greeting. But as she turned toward the door, Roman glanced toward the window, eyes narrowing, like he saw something outside. Something dangerous. Something that shifted his entire body into alertness. His jaw tightened. His posture changed. And for the briefest moment, Raina felt that same stillness again. Heavy, quiet, intentional. But this time, it frightened her a little. He stepped closer, not in a threatening way, protective, Almost. Wait a second, he murmured, eyes focused beyond her. Scanning the street, Reina's heart stuttered. Is something wrong? Roman didn't answer right away. His eyes flicked between the corners of the street, the parked cars, the shadows. Then finally, after a few tense seconds, he exhaled and stepped back. It's fine, he said. The words calm, but clearly a lie. Just take care, crossing. It's slippery. He said it like a man trying not to alarm her, like someone used to danger, like someone who recognized threats before anyone else even saw them. Reina nodded awkwardly and left the shop, pulling her coat tighter. Only when she walked away did she feel it. Roman's eyes following her through the window. Not in desire or creepiness, but in a way a soldier scans the battlefield. Like she was someone who needed watching over. Like he knew things she didn't. And Roman, well, he stayed outside the shop for another full minute after she disappeared. Jaw tense, hands in fists, whispering to no one. It's too early for this. Because the men watching the street weren't there for him. They were there because he was trying to break away from his life. A life built on blood, power, and secrets. The life that didn't forgive deserters. What he didn't expect was the girl. The girl whose laugh warmed a part of him he forgot existed. The girl who didn't know he was one of the most feared names in the underworld. The girl destiny shoved into his path on a rainy Tuesday. Reina. And Roman didn't know it yet, but she would soon become the only weakness a man like him could ever have. Reina didn't expect to see him again. That rainy afternoon felt like one of those strange, pretty coincidences. Life throws once and never repeats. A moment where two paths cross and then separate forever. She told herself that as she walked home, clutching her latte, trying not to think about the intensity of Roman's eyes. But the universe, or fate, or something far more dangerous, had a different plan. 3 days later, Reina was running late for work. She rushed through the crowded street, weaving between people, mumbling quick apologies as she hurried toward the bookstore. Her headphones dangled uselessly around her neck, her bag swaying against her hip, her curls fighting the wind. She didn't see the black SUV idling down the block. She didn't see the two men in the front seat staring discreetly at her. She didn't see Roman on the opposite side of the street, leaning against a phone booth, jaw clenched as he watched everything unfold. He had been following her, not stalking her, protecting her. He told himself it wasn't dangerous, that he was just making sure she stayed safe after accidentally stepping into his world, that the men watching him wouldn't use a random girl to send him a message. But deep down, Roman knew better. Enemies didn't care who they hurt to get to him, and Reina, she didn't even know his last name, yet she was already marked by his life. He watched as she tried to cross the street, juggling her bag and her coffee. A car honked, making her jump. The lid of her drink popped off, and warm liquid splashed onto her coat. She sighed. Frustrated, Roman exhaled sharply, not in annoyance, but something that felt dangerously close to fondness. She was clumsy, in a soft, human way, real, unlike people in his world, whose every move was calculated. He crossed the street without thinking and approached her. "You all right?" he asked. Reina spun around, startled, then blinked in surprise when she recognized him. "Roman, hey, what are you doing here?" "Just passing." A lie she didn't catch, but she heard the slight warmth in his voice, as if her recognizing him mattered more than it should. She wiped coffee from her coat. "I swear the universe hates me today. Or maybe it's trying to slow you down." "Very funny," she laughed, rolling her eyes. "I'm late for work. I can walk you," he said, before he could stop himself. She hesitated only a second before nodding. "Sure." They walked side by side through the busy street. People passed them. Cars honked. City noise swallowed everything, but somehow it felt quiet between them, comfortable. Reina asked questions easily, without fear, where he was from, what he did for work, why he always seemed tense. Roman avoided the truth with practiced ease. Said he worked in security. Said he moved around a lot. Said he had complicated family business. It wasn't lies, not completely, just not the truth she should ever hear. But something about her made him want to say more than he should. He found himself telling her small things, that he liked the rain, that he hated crowded rooms, that he didn't sleep much. She listened like it mattered, and that was dangerous. When they reached the bookstore, she smiled softly. "Thanks for walking with me. It's weird, but it feels like you show up at the exact moments I need someone." Roman's chest tightened in a way he didn't understand. "Maybe you just have bad luck." She punched his arm lightly. "Wow, rude." And then her smile grew warm, bright, honest, and something inside Roman cracked. Just enough to let her in. He didn't plan to visit again, but he returned the next day. Then the next. Sometimes he bought a book, sometimes he didn't. Sometimes he just walked her home, or brought her coffee, or stood silently inside the store, pretending to browse while keeping an eye on the street. Reina started looking forward to him. His quiet presence, his blunt humor, his rare, subtle smiles, the unexpected gentleness in a man built like danger. She didn't know what pulled him toward her, but she felt it. Something warm, unspoken, brewing between them, but there were cracks in the facade. She didn't know how to interpret the way Roman's eyes constantly scanned the room, the way he tensed near doorways, the way cars slowed near them, and he subtly shifted to stand in front of her, the way shadows seemed to follow him. One evening, as they walked through a dim alley shortcut Reina used every day, Roman suddenly grabbed her by the waist and pulled her behind him. Not roughly, but urgently. "Don't move," he whispered. Her heartbeat spiked as a crowbar clattered to the ground ahead of them. A homeless man apologized, stumbling out of the trash pile he'd knocked over. Reina laughed nervously. "Roman, it's just..." "No," Roman said sharply. Too sharply. "You don't understand. You can't." He cut himself off, jaw clenched. Reina stared at him. "Roman, why are you always like this? Like you're preparing for war." His eyes flicked to hers. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then quietly, with a heaviness she didn't understand. "Because in my world, war never ends." She didn't ask what that meant. She didn't want to ruin what they had, but the first seed of fear was planted. Still, despite the tension, despite the confusion, despite the shadows that seemed to follow Roman, Reina fell for him, slowly, softly. Against her better judgment, it was in the way he listened. The way he protected her without being controlling. The way he softened only with her. The way he laughed at her jokes, even when trying to look stoic. The way his voice dropped when he said her name. Reina told herself she wasn't falling, but Roman knew he felt her slipping into his life in ways he couldn't undo, and he let her, even though he shouldn't have. Even though his world had rules. Even though love for a man like him was dangerous, he let her in, because she made him feel like a man, not a monster, not a mafia heir, not a hunted target, not a killer, just a man. But peace never lasts long for people like him. And the night, everything fell apart. Started quietly, simple, unassuming, a normal night. Reina invited Roman into her apartment for dinner, and Roman, against every instinct, screaming for distance, said yes. He didn't know it yet, but this would be the night. She discovered the truth, and it would be the night she'd first feel fear of the man she loved. Asterisk. Reina spent all afternoon cleaning her apartment. She didn't know why she cared so much. Roman had never judged her, never made her feel small, never treated her like she needed to impress him. But something about him made her nervous in a way that wasn't bad. It was like standing at the edge of something meaningful, something deep, something she didn't want to ruin. She cooked pasta, lit a candle she'd been saving for special occasions, and even changed her shirt twice before finally settling on something simple. Soft her dot. When Roman knocked, the sound was gentle, almost hesitant. She opened the door and froze for a heartbeat. He looked different, more tense than usual. His jaw was tight, his shoulders rigid under his dark coat, and his eyes, usually sharp and watchful, carried a shadow tonight. Something heavy. Something he didn't want her to see. Still. When she smiled, he softened instantly. Just a little, but enough. "Come in," she said. He stepped inside, scanning the room out of habit. It didn't bother her anymore. She'd become used to his constant awareness. But tonight, the intensity was dialed higher, like he was expecting something, or someone. "You okay?" Raina asked gently. "I'm fine." A lie that didn't bother trying to hide. She didn't push, she just gestured for him to sit. Roman took off his coat and draped it neatly over the chair, revealing a dark shirt. Sleeves rolled just enough to show the veins running along his forearms. He looked out of place in her cozy little apartment. A dangerous silhouette in a world made of soft edges. They ate, talked, laughed, and, for a while, the world outside didn't exist. But Raina noticed something. The way Roman checked his watch every few minutes. The way his foot tapped the floor every time a car passed outside. The way his eyes flicked to the window at the slightest noise. She finally put her fork down. "Roman, what's going on?" He froze for half a second. "Nothing. You're lying." His jaw flexed. He looked away. "Raina, tonight. It wasn't a good idea for me to come." "Then why did you?" His answer came too fast. "Too honest. Because you asked." Her chest tightened. He never said things like that. He never let emotions slip through the cracks. But tonight, he did. Tonight, he was unraveling in small, silent pieces. Before she could respond, a phone, vibrated, not hers. His Roman stiffened as he glanced at the screen. Just a glimpse, but Raina saw enough. A message. A name she didn't recognize. A symbol beside it. A crest of some sort. A sharp, angular emblem with a wolf's head. "Who's that?" she asked softly. Roman turned the phone face down. "No one, Roman. It's work." "Work doesn't use symbols," she whispered. He looked at her then. Really looked. And Raina saw something in his eyes she'd never seen before. Fear. Not for himself, for her. Roman exhaled slowly, leaning back in his chair as if the weight of all his secrets finally became too heavy to hide. "Raina, there are things about me you shouldn't know." "Tell me," she said, voice trembling. "Please." He stood suddenly and paced the room. His hands went to his face like he was fighting with himself, like he was debating between truth and the safety that lies bring. But Raina just watched him, her heartbeat loud, her palms cold. "Roman," she whispered again. He stopped, and for the first time since she'd met him, she saw the darkness in him rise to the surface. Quiet, heavy, familiar to him, like a second skin. "My family," he began slowly, "is involved in business. Old business. Dangerous business." "What business?" Silence. Her stomach tightened. He turned toward her with eyes that weren't soft anymore. They weren't cruel, but they were honest in a way that frightened her, the kind of business people don't leave alive. The room went still. Raina's breath caught. "Roman, what are you saying?" He didn't move closer, didn't touch her, didn't lie to make her feel better. He just said it. "My last name isn't the one I gave you. I'm not just some guy who works in security." A loud crash exploded outside the apartment. Raina jumped. Roman moved instantly, grabbing her, pulling her behind him, shielding her with his body as he reached into his coat. Her eyes widened. A gun. Her hand flew to her mouth, panic slicing through her chest. "Roman, what you have," he whispered. "Stay behind me." His voice low, deadly, protective. Someone outside shouted. Then another bang, a warning on her door. "Roman," a voice hissed from the hall. "They found you. We need to move." Raina's heart slammed against her ribs. Who is that?" "A friend," Roman muttered. Still shielding her, sort of. The man outside warned Roman. "Now, they're coming up the stairs." Raina's breath fractured. "Roman, what's happening?" He turned to her, eyes burning with emotion he couldn't hide anymore. "Raina, I'm part of a family you don't cross. A family people fear. I've been trying to get out since the day I met you, but they don't let people leave. She stumbled backward, tears burning at her eyes. No, this isn't real. It is. His voice cracked. And they know about you. Her knees weakened. Why? Roman stepped closer, desperate, voice shaking for the first time she'd ever heard. Because I care about you. Another bang outside. Reyna flinched violently. Roman grabbed her face gently, holding her still. Reyna, look at me. She did. He looked terrified. Not of the men outside, he was used to them, but of losing her. I'm not here to hurt you, he whispered. I never was. But you lied. Her voice broke. You lied about everything. I lied to protect you, but you are dangerous. A muscle in his jaw twitched like her words physically hit him. Yes, he said quietly, but not to you. The hallway erupted with footsteps. Roman cursed under his breath and turned toward the door. Reyna stared at him. Roman, the man she laughed with, the man she trusted, the man she was falling for, standing there with a gun in his hand and enemies coming to kill him. And suddenly, all the pieces made sense. His constant scanning, his tension, his disappearances, his scars, his nightmares. His instinct to protect her like his life depended on it. He wasn't paranoid. He was hunted, and by being with him, she was now in the crosshairs too. Fear exploded inside her chest. Hot, sharp, impossible to swallow. Roman, she whispered, tears welling, who are you? He didn't turn around right away when he finally did. His voice was soft, broken, honest. Someone who never should have walked into that coffee shop. And in that moment, Reyna realized one truth. Roman wasn't just a complicated man. He was death wearing a beautiful face, and she was in love with him. The door shook again, harder this time. Roman moved instantly, placing himself between Reyna and the entrance. His friend, or whatever he was, shouted from the hall, 2 floors down, they've got more men coming up. Roman cursed under his breath. Reyna had never heard that tone before. It wasn't annoyance. It wasn't frustration. It was the sound a man makes when he knows time is running out. Reyna backed away slowly until her knees hit the couch. Tears blurred her vision. Her hands trembled uncontrollably. Roman, I don't want to die, she whispered. You won't, he snapped. Not out of anger, out of fear. Not while I'm breathing. But the words didn't calm her. They only twisted deeper. Because if Roman was who he said he was, maybe it wasn't strangers trying to kill him. Maybe it was people he worked with. Maybe he was part of all this. Maybe she was just a weakness they targeted. Maybe he had dragged her into his darkness without giving her a choice. His friend's voice cut through the hall again. Roman, 10 seconds. Roman grabbed Reyna's coat. We need to leave. She shook her head, backing away. No. I don't want to run with you. I don't know who you are. Reyna, I've told you no. Her voice cracked, loud enough it hurt her throat. You told me nothing. You hid everything. You made me trust you. I never asked for that. You didn't have to. Tears spilled over. I gave it to you, Roman, and you took it. His face froze. For a moment, something hollow opened in his expression. Something guilty, something painful. But before he could speak, the door slammed again. Open up, a deep voice barked. Reyna whimpered. Roman's friend yelled, Roman, now, they're breaching. Roman turned toward the door, with a look of pure, practiced violence. His gun raised, his posture perfect, his breathing steady. This was who he truly was. Not the man who smiled in coffee shops. Not the man who walked her home. Not the man who softened when she spoke. This was Roman, the mafia heir, the man she didn't know, the man she shouldn't have fallen for. He grabbed her wrist. Stay behind me. She yanked her hand away, like his touch burned her. Don't touch me. His jaw tightened. Not in anger, but in hurt. Real human hurt. But he didn't have time to react. The hall erupted with shouting, heavy footsteps, boots, pounding the stairs. Roman inhaled sharply, wiped emotion off his face, and turned into a different creature. Cold, controlled, calculating. Cover the back door, his friend shouted. Roman responded, I'll take the front. The words chilled her. He wasn't scared. He was ready, like this was normal. He moved toward the door, but Reyna grabbed his sleeve in a panic. Stop. Stop, Roman. What if they kill you? What if he turned to her for the first time? Roman let everything show, all the confusion, the guilt, the silent longing, the desperation to keep her safe. They won't kill me, he said quietly. They'll kill you. Her heart nearly stopped. Roman stepped closer. Reyna, listen to me. They know about you. They know what you mean to me. That makes you leverage. They'll use you to drag me back. She swallowed hard, back where his voice went soft, terrified. To a life I was trying to leave because of you. A fist pounded the door, wood cracked it, her entire body flinched. Roman's friend yelled, "They're coming in." Roman cupped Reyna's face. Suddenly, desperately, "I need you alive. You understand? Alive." "I don't know what to believe anymore," she whispered. "You don't have to believe me right now," he said, his voice trembling. "Just stay behind me. If you run, they'll take you." But the fear in her chest wasn't of the strangers outside. It was of him, of the truth, of the world he lived in, the world he belonged to. Because if Roman could step into violence so easily, if he carried a gun like it was nothing, if men with weapons chased him, if he had enemies who knew her name, then maybe, just maybe, Roman hadn't fallen for her at all. Maybe he had used her for cover, for escape, for leverage, for something she didn't understand yet. Her mind raced with panic and assumptions, fear twisting every memory. His sudden appearance in her life, his constant watching, his interest, his secrecy. What if the only reason she mattered to him was because she was convenient, a normal girl that helped him blend in, distraction from his enemies, a soft place to hide his sins? Her chest tightened painfully. Roman didn't see her spiraling, not fully. He was too focused on survival. "Stand back," Roman's friend yelled. The door finally splintered. Roman reacted instantly, slamming the heavy table against it, bracing it with his shoulder, gun ready, breath steady, body tense, like a coiled spring. Reyna pressed herself against the wall, hands shaking violently as adrenaline forced tears down her cheeks. Gunshots cracked through the hallway. Roman flinched, but didn't fall. His friend fired back screams. More shots, the smell of smoke, her apartment filled with chaos she never asked for. "Reyna," Roman shouted, "back window, open it." She stumbled toward it, but froze halfway. Her survival instinct screamed at her to run. Far, anywhere, away from him, away from this life, away from the man who dragged a storm into her quiet world. Roman saw the hesitation. His voice broke. "Please." She had never heard him beg, but fear was bigger than everything else now, she whispered. More to herself than to him. "I can't do this. I can't be part of this." His entire body stilled. Even in the chaos, he heard her. "Reyna, you lied," she sobbed. "You lied about everything." He shook his head sharply. "No, not about everything." "About what then?" she cried. "What wasn't a lie?" "You," his voice cracked. "How I feel about you." She wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to, but fear blinds. Fear twists. Fear makes the heart cruel. She shook her head, stepping further from him. Roman's face fell, something inside him breaking as he watched her pull away. And in that split second of emotional devastation, the door burst open. Roman turned to shield her, but a flash of light filled her vision. A scream. She didn't even know if it was his or hers. And then darkness swallowed everything. Morning broke over the city, but it didn't bring light. Not for Reyna, not for Roman. It was the kind of dawn where the sky looked bruised, like the world itself sensed something terrible was coming. Roman didn't sleep that night. He sat on the edge of his bed, hands clasped, staring at the doorway like he expected Reyna to walk through it at any second. He thought, maybe she'd come back. He didn't know he was counting down to the worst day of his life. Reyna's fear reaches its breaking point. She tried to go to work, but she was shaking so badly she had to stop halfway and lean against a lamppost. Her mind kept replaying everything. Roman's gun, Roman's money, Roman's power, Roman's threats real or imagined? Every smile he gave her now felt like a lie in her memory. "This isn't love," she whispered. "He's trapping me." But the worst part, a piece of her heart, still missed him. That's what made everything more terrifying. She loved a man who could destroy her life with a single decision. And she was realizing the truth. If she didn't escape now, she never would. Roman's world starts crumbling. Meanwhile, Roman stood in his office with Marco and 2 other men. "Where is she?" he demanded. "We checked her job," Marco said softly. "She didn't go in." "What about her phone?" "Off." Roman's jaw tightened. He wasn't angry at her, he was scared. "She thinks I'm hurting her," he whispered. "Why does she think that?" No one answered, because even they knew the truth. Roman's world looked terrifying from the outside. He forgot that Reina didn't see what was in his heart, only what was in his shadows. Reina didn't go home, didn't go to work. Instead, she stood in front of a small church with a trembling breath. Inside lived Sister Helenin, older woman Reina, once helped with groceries on a rainy day. They barely knew each other, but Helena told her once, "If you're ever in trouble, come to me." Reina walked in. Sister Helena took one look at her and whispered, "Child, who's hurting you?" "No one," Reina choked, "but I'm scared of someone I shouldn't love." Reina said she couldn't go to the police because if Roman wasn't arrested, he'd find her. She couldn't tell friends. They might be watched. She couldn't run away, he'd search city to city. "I need to disappear," she whispered, completely. Sister Helena's expression didn't change. She didn't panic. She simply nodded slowly. "I understand." And that's when Reina found out the church had worked with a quiet, off-the-record protection group for women escaping dangerous partners. A group that helped people disappear. A group that faked deaths. Reina's heart stopped. "Is that even possible?" she whispered. Sister Helena squeezed her hand. "It is, but once you do this, there's no going back." Reina swallowed hard. She remembered Roman's smile, his laugh, his voice whispering her name. But then she remembered the gun, the blood money, the men, the secrets, and she realized something devastating. She wanted a life. He could never give her, not without losing herself. So she took a shaking breath. "Help me disappear." Roman drove to Reina's apartment. He knocked. He waited. Nothing. He pressed his forehead against her door. "Please," he whispered. He never begged for anything in his life, but here he was, begging a woman who wasn't even there when he finally walked back to his car. Marco approached cautiously. "Boss, we found something." Roman's head snapped up. "What?" Marco swallowed. "It's about Reina." Roman felt the world tilt. His fingers clenched into fists. "Tell me," Marco hesitated, looking terrified. "Boss, I think something happened to her." Roman's heart dropped. "What do you mean, what happened?" Marco didn't answer. He simply handed Roman a small object in a plastic bag. Roman stared. It was Reina's necklace, the one she never took off, the one she told him she had since childhood, found near the river. His vision blurred, his throat closed, his voice cracked for the first time in years. No, 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 not her, not Reina. He could lose everything, money, power, his reputation. But not her, not the only thing in his life that was soft and warm and real. Roman staggered forward, like someone stabbed him. "Marco," his voice broke. "Find her. I don't care how. Find her. I'll tear the city apart." But in his heart, a terrible fear began to grow, because a necklace by the river meant only one thing, and Roman felt something inside him die. Reina prepares for her death. Meanwhile, Sister Helena took Reina to a quiet, hidden basement beneath the church. A woman with short hair and dark eyes stepped forward. "Name?" she asked. "Reina." "Target." Reina hesitated, then whispered the name she loved and feared, Roman. The woman scribbled notes. "You'll die in 2 days. We'll make sure he believes it." Reina's breath hitched. A fake car wreck, a burned ID, a staged body that wouldn't be identifiable, a funeral. Everything planned, everything perfect. everything terrifying. But the woman leaned in and said, "If he really is as dangerous as you think, this is the only way you'll live." Reyna nodded, tears streaming down her face. She wasn't just leaving her city, she was leaving him, her first love, for mistake, for heartbreak, for almost forever. She whispered to herself, "You weren't the man I thought you were." And in another part of the city, Roman whispered into the night, "I can't lose you." They were both wrong about each other, and fate was about to destroy both of them before it rebuilt anything. The night was heavy, thick with fog and rain, as if the city itself mourned what was about to happen. Reyna sat in the back of a black van, hands clasped tightly in her lap, trembling. She wore the simple coat Sister Helena had given her. Gloves too big, hair tucked into a scarf, her breath fogged in the cold air, as the van moved silently through empty streets. She tried not to cry, but tears ran down anyway. She thought about Roman, the man who had made her laugh, made her feel safe, made her believe that love could exist, even in a world built on fear. And now she was leaving him, a cold hand pressed against her shoulder. Sister Helena's, and whispered, "You'll be safe. You'll live. That's what matters." Reyna nodded, swallowing hard, but her heart screamed a quiet rebellion. "I'm leaving him alive." The staging 2 days later. The streets buzzed with news. A burned-out car was found on the highway. Twisted metal, smoke still rising. Inside, charred remnants of personal belongings suggested a life lost. Among the items, a small melted necklace that resembled Reyna's. Roman's office received the call first. He was standing by the window, overlooking the city. The rain painted streaks across the glass. When he heard her name, his stomach dropped. Reyna, and suddenly, everything froze. He dropped the phone, his vision blurred. The world spun like the city itself was mocking him. "She's gone," he whispered. The first time in years. Roman couldn't command his emotions. The funeral lit was small, quiet, somber, friends, distant family, a few people from work. No one knew the truth. Roman stood in the back, hidden beneath his coat and hat. He didn't cry, couldn't. Not yet. But the pain carved lines in his face, deeper than any scars he had. When the priest said the words, "She is now with the angels," Roman clenched his fists. The anger, the heartbreak, the helplessness, it all crashed down. And he whispered under his breath, "I will find you, somehow." He didn't know if he could. He didn't know if she was alive. All he knew was that she wasn't there. Reyna starts over thousands of miles away. Reyna stepped off a plane, taking a deep breath of a new country's air. Different skyline, different language, different life. She had a new identity, the new apartment, a new routine. But her heart, it still beat to the memory of Roman. Still ached with every laugh they shared, every glance, every soft word he had whispered. She threw herself into work, into classes, into learning the streets of her new city. Every night, she would shut the curtains, curl up in her small bed, and whisper to herself, "I'm safe now. I'm free." And yet, a part of her couldn't stop wondering, what about him? Would he think she was dead forever? Would he move on? Would he even forgive her for leaving? Roman never gave up. Meanwhile, Roman didn't stop. He didn't let her death break him completely, but it drove him to the edge. He hunted every lead, every whisper, every shadow that might hint at her survival. He didn't care about enemies, business, or threats. Only. Months passed, and Roman began to realize something terrifying. Even though she wasn't there, she had changed him. The mafia world he had clung to, the power he had sought, the ruthless empire he had built. None of it mattered if she wasn't alive. And slowly, quietly, he began to change. Years had passed. Reyna had built a new life in a foreign city. She walked the streets with confidence now, her laughter no longer shadowed by fear. The little apartment she rented smelled of fresh flowers and coffee. She had friends she trusted, a job she loved, and a rhythm of life she controlled. But some nights, when the city lights blurred in the rain, her mind wandered to Roman, the man who had terrified her, captivated her, and ultimately changed her forever. She thought he was gone, a ghost in her past, a wound she had stitched carefully. The chance encounter it was a busy Saturday morning at the local market. Reina was examining a stack of colorful fabrics when a familiar voice murmured behind her, "Reina." Her body froze. Her hands dropped the fabric. She turned slowly, and there he was. Roman, older, quieter, softer. No scars from the chase, no shadows of violence hanging over him. The dangerous aura had faded, replaced by something else entirely. Peace. For a heartbeat, neither moved. She thought he was a memory, a trick of her mind. "Roman," she whispered, disbelief thick in her voice. "I'm here," he said, his voice gentle, almost tentative. And in that instant, everything rushed back. The fear, the chaos, the love. But this time, it wasn't terrifying. It was safe. The truth comes out. They sat at a small cafe, outside the market, the world bustling around them. Oblivious to their reunion, Roman explained. Everything how he had left his dangerous life behind the moment she disappeared. How he had tied up old business, paid off threats, and worked to become a man worthy of her trust. How every step he took in the years apart was to make sure he could someday find her again, alive, free and happy. Reina listened. Tears streamed down her cheeks, but this time they were tears of relief, of hope, of love that survived fear. "I thought you used me," she admitted, voice trembling. "I thought I couldn't trust anything you said." Roman reached across the table, holding her hands tightly. "Never," he said. "Every word I ever said to you about how I felt, it was real. I just had to survive first, to be the man you deserved." Reina's chest tightened. This was the truth she had been waiting for, the redemption she needed. Love rekindled. Weeks passed, days turned into months. Roman and Reina rebuilt their life together, slowly and carefully. They explored the city, hand in hand. They laughed without fear. They loved without shadows looming over them. Roman kept his past behind closed doors. Reina embraced a life of safety and joy. Together, they were unstoppable, untouchable, and finally free. A forever promise on a quiet evening, overlooking a river that glittered under the setting sun. Roman knelt on one knee. Reina's hands flew to her mouth. "Reina," he said, voice steady, full of emotion. "I've spent my life chasing ghosts and power, but the only thing I ever needed was you. Will you marry me?" She smiled through tears, the kind of smile that carried years of pain, love, fear, and finally, hope. "Yes," she whispered.
Yes,
Roman, I will." They embraced as the sun dipped below the horizon. The city lights reflecting in the water, painting their future golden dot. No shadows, no lies, no danger. Just love, just them, finally together. And so, the girl who faked her death to escape a world of fear found her forever with the man who had changed, just like she had.